In the early days of European settlement, passengers and supplies travelled to Phillip Island by sailing ship and later by steam vessel. Ferry services dated back to 1872. Passengers would arrive at Cowes Jetty from Hastings on the Mornington Peninsula after a horse-drawn coach ride from Melbourne. The advent of the motor car in the early 20th century led to better roads, and by 1916, petrol pumps started appearing on the curbside. Holidaymakers flocked to the island. They came via Stony Point, leaving their car or train and boarding a ferry to cross Western Port to Cowes. By the late 1920s, cars were crossing the narrow channel between San Remo and Newhaven. A couple of 2- and 6-vehicle punts were operating regular services. A major drawcard was Australia's first motorcar Grand Prix, held on the island in 1928. 1,000 people turned up to witness the event, setting a visitor record for a single day. By 1932, a dock for a roll-on, roll-off car ferry was given the go-ahead at Cowes. A year later, a refitted ferry from Sydney Harbour, the Kalara, was carrying up to 36 cars and 600 passengers. The case for a bridge was mounting. 300 members of the Bridge League, led by Richard Graydon, lobbied the state government. A violent gale on Easter Sunday 1938 sealed the deal. 400 ferry passengers were stranded in Cowes when the jetty was severely damaged. 6 months later, Premier Albert Dunstan made the big announcement: Phillip Island was getting a bridge. Engineers faced a double challenge: build a bridge over the deep, fast-flowing tidal waters, but with a tiny budget of just £30,000. It also had to be tall enough to allow the local fishing fleet to pass underneath. They decided on a suspension bridge, strong enough for loads up to 6 tonnes, but not strong enough for fully loaded buses. Passengers had to get off and walk, and there was no budget for a footpath. Much of the material was second-hand. The main cables came from the North Shore Bridge in Sydney. Vertical suspender cables were from the cable tram system in Melbourne. Yet the first Phillip Island Bridge still ended up costing more than twice the original budget. Opening day, Friday 29 November 1940, was declared a public holiday. This graceful but flawed suspension bridge served the community for almost 30 years.